Max, answer me.
The right ventricle's collapsed. She's gone.
It's 5599. I've got a heart for you.
We'd already committed to the idea that Max was going to be captured at the end of the season, and it suddenly dawned on us, well, why not have her escape, but break everybody out? And we were going to, along the way, meet these specially purposed, genetically engineered soldiers, you know, built to fight in the desert or underwater or whatever that might be. They were going to be out in the world, and the repercussions of that were going to be the thrust of the second season.
The idea was essentially that, in fact, there were earlier generations, earlier attempts to genetically engineer superior human beings using animal DNA, and that this had resulted in some strange animal-human hybrids, and that this was a kind of a dark part of Manticore's history that they had kind of kept secret.
And starting season 2, we knew we were going to get a lot more drastic with our characters. Season 1, the only difference between most of our transgenics was the barcode. Now season 2, we knew there was going to be a lot more of the anomalies, which were down in the basement of Manticore.
It was a whole new direction for the show, which you know, made it, especially directing the season opener, that much more challenging, because we were introducing different arcs for that season that were going to take the show off in completely different directions.
I think it definitely has more sci-fi, more action. I think it's definitely reality-based science fiction, and we're just exploring that more this season.
But I think this year the show has definitely pushed outside of its boundaries last year. We have sort of a bigger sense of the world that Max lives in.
Well, with season 2, because of the new direction they were heading, they brought in new characters. Kevin Durand plays Joshua.
My character's name is Joshua, and he's a little bit hairy. He was basically the first genetic experiment from Manticore, and they went a little too far on the canine. As soon as he meets Max, right away he starts picking up her lingo and is overwhelmed by this beautiful girl's kindness.
Max realizes that he's just a human being with a soft heart, and it's not his fault that he looks the way he does.
In the episode "The Medium is the Message," Joshua discovers he can paint. We had him dancing and howling. And Kevin Durand, I mean, it's very funny to see this guy in this prosthetic with this hair dancing. I mean, the guy is a trained singer-dancer. He's, you know, actually done Broadway musicals.
Kevin Durand is unbelievable. He's so funny. I had never seen him without his prosthetics, because he was in the chair, 4 hours performing and 4 hours after me. I was done. I was out of there. And I never saw him. And he walked up to me on set one day and was like, "Hey, Ash, how you doing?" I had no idea who he was. No clue at all. In fact, Jensen ran into him in Los Angeles at a bar, and he walked up. He's like, "Hey, Jensen, how you doing?" Jensen had no idea. He's like, "Oh my God, he's this big guy. Did I do something wrong? Who's your girlfriend? Oh no, you know."
Jensen Ackles joined us, and he played the character of Alec.
He was kind of her witty, stupid, crazy, smart alecky, chip on his shoulder sidekick.
When we started talking about creating a character like Alec, someone, an X5 like Max, who could walk the streets because he looks perfectly normal, someone who was a rogue and sexy, a potential love interest, a potential rival to Logan, we all just, you know, were thinking about Jensen, who played a very, very different character, a much darker character in the first season, but we knew he could play this too, and we decided let's just deal with that confusion later on, and heck, why not? Why can't he be a genetic twin?
He had no problem robbing from people or pulling whatever scam he was doing.
Hey, he was a hustler, I mean. He had his hand in everybody's pockets, you know. He was going, he was always making deals, he was on the move.
Hey, check it out. Grandma's got herself a plasma screen TV.
We're not going to come back here and steal her TV.
Why not? He was always sort of foiling Max, who, at the very heart of it, she was looking to do things noble and that were good, and he was really out for number one.
I got to do a lot of physical acting and a lot of stunts, and I actually probably did 90% of it myself. I tried to. My stunt double hated me because he'd get to, you know, had to get makeup, hair, wardrobe, and just sit on the sideline and watch me do it all. So that was really fun for me. I liked trying to do as much as I could.
Ames White joined season 2.
I'm there to decimate the entire, transgenic blight, that is, I mean, literally to wipe them from the face of the earth. The transgenic shows up with Ames White, he's like a red shirt on Star Trek, right? He's a dead man, it's over.
What you began to learn about White as the season went on was that, in fact, he was a much more complicated character, that he had I guess you might call it a religious or spiritual background that made his feelings for the transgenics, his distaste for them, very, very personal.
Martin's great. He's one of those actors who you don't see it coming. All of a sudden the camera gets going and it starts rolling. He just switches into this total character. You don't even see it coming.
He's a really serious character. His character in the show is very dark and edgy and brooding, and you finish a take and you go, how is that? Was that okay?
I had a really good time working with Martin. I wish I got to work with him more, but storylines.
He comes prepared, ready to go, and I thought he really brought a lot to the table.
What is it you're meant to be, besides ugly? I'm talking to you.
British Eddie and his gang were known as Steelheads, and he was this kind of like John Lydon, Sex Pistols, snotty punk criminal.
They were like humans that were trying to engineer themselves to be greater than what they were.
We ended up having this incredible comedic rapport. Just when we, getting makeup on and joking around, waiting for scenes to happen. You twits! Dark Angels was not a comedy. Certainly these episodes were full of comedy whenever we were on screen, so I was really grateful to be a part of that.
Ashley Scott joined season 2 as Asha, who was another freedom fighter. She's there to work hand in hand with Eyes Only.
When I first got on the show, I'm like, oh my gosh, this girl's going to hate me. And this, new girl that just walks on the show, that is being written in as her fiance in real life's love interest. Oh, great, Here we go.
Logan and Max.
Max and Logan.
Every happiness.
Asha was meant to rev people up, and she was meant to make people angry, and she was, meant to make Max mad. And
it created some complications and some misperceptions during the course of the season that kept Max and Logan's relationship in conflict.
I think at the end of the day, Max and Logan were soulmates. They were meant to be.
Although it may be satisfying on some level to see them together, what's always interesting is how can you keep them apart?
What the hell are you talking about?
A genetically targeted retrovirus. You're the carrier. Any intimate contact between you activates the agent. Now, you didn't kiss him or anything, did you?
So Max is targeted with this deadly virus that will only kill Logan if they touch.
The virus is targeted specifically for Logan's DNA, and I carry the virus. So if we come into any physical contact, he gets this virus and he dies within 24 hours.